Hey guys, it's Tricky Nick here. Over the years, Nintendo has made some incredible consoles. These consoles are home to hundreds, or if you're the Virtual Boy, tens of great games. But today, we're not looking for good games, or even decent ones. Today, we're searching for my least favorite game for every Nintendo console. Oh no, that means I have to be... Plain and simple, I'm looking through each Nintendo console and picking my least favorite game for it. Disclaimer before we get started, I'm picking my least favorite game that I've actually played, so don't go typing, "Where's Friday the 13th for the NES?" Also, just like last time, no ports. Anyways, let's begin. The NES was Nintendo's first ever console, so it was tough at first to figure out what video game fans wanted in a video game. This led to the production of many weird, wacky, and straight up bad games. But out of all the oddities produced, Super Dodgeball was my least favorite. This game was not wacky nor zany. Here's the thing, most bad NES games at least had an interesting premise. Super Dodgeball is just bland, basic dodgeball with no fun twists added within. Along with that, the game is extremely laggy, and I mean, just look at that low frame rate. The controls also aren't very immersive. I can barely tell when I'm actually controlling the game. In fact, I could probably play this game eyes closed in another room and still get the same experience from it. Overall, Super Dodgeball is an uninspired mess, so it's my least favorite NES game. Nintendo's first handheld console was the Game Boy, and like in the last video, I'm just gonna clump all the Game Boy consoles into this one section. The Game Boy definitely brought out the worst in certain franchises. Not because the console was bad, it was just severely limited compared to other consoles of the time because it was a handheld. But one franchise got an entry so bad that it was an easy choice for my least favorite game. So you know how the whole point of Mario Party is to have fun with friends and family? Well, now, you can destroy relationships by telling people that you play Mario Party Advance. Mario Party Advance was the weirdest and worst Mario Party game by far. Taking a single-player approach was a horrible decision, as Mario Party thrives off of multiplayer. I will say the minigames keep the balance of luck and skill, but the problem is when these minigames are placed in a single-player environment, they feel too unfair and overall unenjoyable. While I appreciate the attempt at a fun single-player adaptation of Mario Party, the words single-player and Mario Party mix together like water and oil. We saw a sucky game for the NES, but now get ready for a sucky game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Some games that immediately came to mind here were Mario's early years and Mario is Missing. These games are just infamous for being absolutely terrible. But there was a game that Nintendo made that was so terrible that they literally had to release a tutorial video on how to play it. Mario Picross. Yeah, this game is almost all in Japanese, so Nintendo decided, let's release it to English speakers. Why? Even if I did understand what I'm supposed to be doing, this game is just a boring math puzzle game. Learning. Ew! Even worse, Mario is on the cover of this game just to sell copies. Oh no, it's almost like Nintendo knows anything with Mario on it will have significantly higher chance of selling well because Mario is a popular Italian plumber. Anything past the title screen is just this. Easily my least favorite SNES game, and maybe my least favorite game of all time. Scratch that. I'll get to my least favorite game later on this list. Up next is the Virtual Boy, and since it had a very low number of games, there weren't any especially bad games, just some underwhelming ones. My least favorite of these Virtual Boy games is Virtual Boy Fishing. Everything you can do in this game can just be done in 5 minutes. It's not especially horrible, it's just fishing. Onto the Nintendo 64, the leap into 3D, and along with it, some horrible 3D games. Donkey Kong 64 is one of the most infamous of these games. Donkey Kong 64 had the potential to be amazing, but it flopped. Before I criticize this game, I will say the DK rap is pretty fire, and the final boss is pretty fun too. Anyways, back to why this game is my least favorite. Donkey Kong 64 retains the basic premise of Donkey Kong Country games, but turns it into a tedious, boring collectathon. In order to beat the game, The player must go through each level 5 times over, using a different Kong each time. This was a terrible design choice that really brings out the other flaws of the game in full force. If there's one annoying vertical section or one poor camera angle that you encounter, you may not notice it at first. But by playthrough number 5, you're going to be squealing and screeching at your TV. The poor game design of Donkey Kong 64 magnifies every minute issue found in the game, and it makes it my least favorite game for the Nintendo 64. From what I've played, the GameCube doesn't really seem to have many bad games. But if I had to pick a least favorite, it would probably be Mario Power Tennis. This game isn't bad by any means. In fact, I really like this entry in the Mario Tennis series. The roster is great, featuring all the classic characters with some cool new additions like Wiggler and Boo. The maps in this game are also really dynamic and immersive. My favorite is DK Jungle Court, but there are some other great ones like Wario's Factory Court and Delfino Plaza Court. So you're probably asking, if this game is so good, why is it your least favorite? The reason why it's my least favorite is simply that it has the least amount of content out of the GameCube games that I've played. I don't blame the game itself, you just can't do a whole lot with tennis. Recently, I did a video going back through all my weird Nintendo DS games, which made choosing my least favorite Nintendo DS game much easier. My least favorite Nintendo DS game is I Spy Funhouse. I appreciate the fact that my parents got this for me because I used to be obsessed with I Spy. Looking back now though, it would have been better just to steal an I Spy book from the library, because at least then I'd have more to do. This game has 6 scenes to find stuff in, and after that, you're done. Useless piece of... I Spy Funhouse lacks content and is worse than the books, so it's my least favorite Nintendo DS game. The next console Nintendo released was the Wii. Similar to the GameCube, I didn't play any bad games for this console. Or at least that's what I thought until I realized I owned Pac Man Party. Pac Man Party is basically a worse version of Mario Party. What is that? Instead of collecting coins and stars, Pac Man and company attempt to build a castle by stealing money from each other. There are also power cookies, which are basically free continues. Yeah, these are in the game for the sole purpose of making everyone rage at each other. I get that Bandai Namco was trying to make it random and fun like in Mario Party, but that's just the complete wrong way to go about it. The minigames are alright, but odds are you'll come across the same one multiple times in one game. The boards are... I can't even remember a single one. If you're a mad lad like me and try to play this game alone, the computers are very poorly balanced, either crushing you or letting you stomp all over them. There's also a single player story mode. I don't feel like wasting my time attempting to try to find a cookie recipe for the 3rd ugliest yellow sphere I've seen in the past week. The only redeeming part about this game is that you're not stuck in a cart with everyone else. Mario Party 9. The 3DS, my favorite Nintendo console. At first glance, I was going to choose New Super Mario Bros. 2 as my least favorite, but then I realized I have Pac Man Party 3D. And then I realized I have the Croods Prehistoric Party. This game was just a sloppy party game lazily put together to reap the rewards of the Croods movie. It's just an overall bad party game with no redeeming qualities. There was also a Wii U version of this game, and while I never played it, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it wasn't very good either. Speaking of the Wii U... So you know how Animal Crossing New Horizons is one of the best-selling Nintendo Switch games? What if I told you that its predecessor was not only the worst Wii U game, but potentially the worst game of all time? Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival released in what is typically regarded as the dark age of Nintendo. This time period was a weird one for Nintendo, as they still needed to pump out Wii U and 3DS games, while also developing games for the Nintendo Switch too. This resulted in some of the worst and laziest games ever put out by Nintendo. As the name implies, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival requires you to have amiibos to play it. God! So you would think that since this game already requires you to buy useless pieces of plastic to play it, the game would be free to download. Well, my friend, you would be sorely mistaken, because this game costs the full price of $60 at launch. Another huge issue with this game is that it's not even Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing usually sees the player constructing a village while paying off their debts to Tom Nook. leaving us penniless and depressed, like in real life. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival consists of putting an Amiibo on the Wii U gamepad, then moving however many spaces you roll, and then passing it on to the next player. That's right, this is a board game with no mini-games and one map. If scanning an Amiibo over and over isn't annoying enough though, here's how you win. All you have to do is gain a random amount of happy points after every turn, and whoever has the most by the end wins. That's the entire game. Why, Nintendo? Side note, I almost chose Mario Tennis Ultra Smash as my least favorite, but at least I found some minute amount of enjoyment in that game. The Nintendo Switch is Nintendo's most recent console, and it doesn't have anything nearly as bad as that. At least that I've seen. My least favorite game for this system is Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Clunky names aside, I really only chose this game as my least favorite for one reason, and that is the controls of the game. There's usually multiple pages of instructions before the games, which half the time I don't even feel like reading because I just want to get into the action. The controls themselves are extremely unintuitive and delayed, making almost every event difficult to play. For example, the triple jump event literally took me 20 minutes just to get an actual score without being disqualified. This was because you had to press the jump button a full 5 seconds before you actually jump. Why? Egregious controls and Wario's lack of nipples aside, this game is somewhat fun. There's a pretty unique story mode that incorporates the events well. Also, I always love the rosters of these games. 2 of the largest gaming icons being put together into one is really cool. There's also a retro mode for the Tokyo 1964 Olympics, but the poor controls ruin it. Dang it, Sega! Overall, this game had some great ideas within it, but the controls make it easily my least favorite game for the Nintendo Switch. And that concludes my least favorite game for every Nintendo console. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion, so if you disagree with my picks, that's okay. Overall though, I'd say a lot of these games are really not worth playing, so go waste your money on other things. If you guys enjoyed the video and you want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.